Assalamu alaikum, it's Sista Samilah. While they're panicking about losing food stamps, remember this. Black America built entire economies from nothing, survived everything they threw at us, and we're still here. This shutdown, we've seen worse. Let me tell you something that needs to be said loud and clear right now while everyone is losing their minds over this government shutdown and SNAP benefits potentially disappearing. Black America will be just fine. We will not only survive, we will thrive, just like we always have. And before anyone gets it twisted, this isn't about being insensitive to struggle. This is about remembering who we are, where we came from, and the unbreakable spirit that runs through our DNA. The panic you're seeing right now, that's not coming from us. White America is absolutely freaking out because for many of them, this is the first time they're facing the possibility of government assistance disappearing. They built their sense of security on the assumption that the system would always catch them when they fell. But us, we never had that luxury. We never built our survival on the government's goodwill because history taught us better than that. Let's take a walk through our history because this is where the strength comes from. This is where the confidence comes from when I say we're going to be all right. After slavery ended in 1865, do you know what Black Americans did? We didn't have food stamps. We didn't have Section 8 housing. We didn't have welfare programs or government assistance. We had absolutely nothing except our freedom, our faith, and each other. And from that nothing, we built everything. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, Black Americans created thriving economic communities from scratch. We're talking about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, where Black businesses flourished and Black families built generational wealth without a single government program. We're talking about places like Durham's Haiti community, Rosewood in Florida, and countless other Black towns and neighborhoods where we had our own banks, our own grocery stores, our own hotels, our own entertainment venues, our own everything. We fed ourselves, we housed ourselves, we educated ourselves, we took care of our sick and our elderly, all of this without government assistance and in many cases despite active government opposition. Think about what that means. We're talking about people who were one generation removed from slavery, who couldn't read or write because it had been illegal to teach them, who owned nothing because they had been property themselves, and they built functioning economies. They created systems of mutual aid and community support that put food on tables and roofs over heads. They established churches that became centers of not just spiritual life, but economic cooperation and social support. The Tulsa community alone had over 600 Black-owned businesses. Black people were doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, shop owners, and they were thriving. This wasn't some small-scale operation. This was a full economic ecosystem that proved beyond any doubt that Black Americans didn't need government handouts to succeed. We needed opportunity. We needed to be left alone to build, and we needed each other. And you know what happened to many of these thriving communities? White mobs destroyed them. They burned them down, massacred the residents, and wiped out generational wealth because they couldn't stand to see Black people succeeding independently. But here's the thing, even after that devastating violence, even after watching everything they built turn to ash, our ancestors rebuilt. They started over, they survived, they found a way to feed their families and keep moving forward. During the Great Depression, when the entire country was struggling, Black Americans faced a depression within a depression. We were the last hired and first fired. We faced discrimination at every turn. Government relief programs often excluded us or gave us the least and the worst, but we made it through. Our grandmothers stretched meals in ways that would make modern chefs weep. Our grandfathers worked multiple jobs that barely paid anything. Our communities pulled together, shared what little they had, and nobody starved. During Jim Crow, when segregation was the law of the land and Black Americans were systematically denied access to quality education, housing, employment, and basic human dignity, we still fed ourselves. We still raised our children. We still built churches and schools and businesses. We did all of this while facing violence, intimidation, and a legal system designed to keep us oppressed. Food stamps didn't exist for most of this period, and we didn't need them because we had something more powerful: community, resourcefulness, and an unshakable faith. And speaking of faith, let me take you to the Quran for a moment, because this is foundational to understanding why we're going to be all right. Allah says in Surah Ad-Dariyat, verse 58, "Indeed it is Allah who is the provider, the possessor of strength, the firm." And in Surah Hud, verse 6, "There is no creature on earth whose provision is not guaranteed by Allah." These aren't just beautiful words to recite. These are promises. These are truths that our ancestors understood in their bones. When you have faith that your provision comes from the Creator, not from the government, not from any system created by human hands, you move differently. You prepare differently. You think differently. You don't panic when the government shuts down because you never confused the government with God in the first place. Your trust is placed somewhere infinitely more reliable. Allah provides for the birds, the Quran tells us, and they don't have EBT cards. They don't have Section 8 vouchers. They don't have government programs, yet they're fed. Now, I'm not saying we should just sit back and do nothing. Islam doesn't teach passivity. We're required to work, to strive, to use our hands and our minds. But we work with the understanding that the ultimate provider is Allah, and He doesn't shut down. He doesn't run out of budget. He doesn't play political games with people's survival. Now let's talk about the present reality, because the narrative around Black Americans and government assistance is wildly distorted. Yes, Black Americans use SNAP benefits, but here are the facts that nobody wants to talk about. The majority of Black Americans are not on food stamps. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. The majority of Black Americans are not on food stamps. We work, we pay taxes, we handle our business. The stereotype that Black people are all on welfare is a lie that's been used to justify cutting social programs and to create division. In actual numbers, white Americans are the largest group receiving SNAP benefits. But the way it's talked about, the way it's portrayed in media and politics, you'd think it was exclusively a Black thing. That's by design. That's to make it easier to cut programs and to make other people feel superior. But the truth is that poverty and the need for assistance crosses all racial lines, and the majority of people in every racial group are working and taking care of themselves. So when this government shutdown potentially cuts SNAP benefits, Black America as a collective is going to be fine because most of us aren't on it anyway. And those of us who are, we're going to figure it out the same way our ancestors did. We're going to lean on family. We're going to lean on community. We're going to lean on faith. We're going to get creative with meals. We're going to share what we have. We're going to check on our neighbors. We're going to activate those survival skills that have been passed down through generations. This is what white America doesn't understand because they haven't had to learn it. For many of them, this is the first time they're facing real insecurity, real precariousness. They built their lives on the assumption of stability and safety nets. But we never had that assumption. We always knew the rug could be pulled out from under us at any moment because it has been repeatedly throughout our entire history in this country. So we learned not to put all our eggs in any one basket, especially not a basket held by a government that has never consistently had our best interests at heart. We learned to be resourceful. We learned to make something out of nothing. We learned to turn scraps into meals and prayers into provision. We learned that when systems fail, and they will fail, you better have something else to fall back on. That something is community, faith, and the knowledge that we've survived worse than a government shutdown. Think about what our ancestors survived: the Middle Passage, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, lynching, redlining, mass incarceration, crack epidemics that were facilitated by the government, AIDS crises that were ignored, police brutality, employment discrimination, housing discrimination, and on and on and on. At every single turn, the system tried to break us. At every single turn, we were supposed to disappear, to give up, to die out. And at every single turn, we not only survived, we created culture, we created music, we created art, we created movements, we created joy in the midst of oppression. So a government shutdown and the potential loss of SNAP benefits, that's not even close to the worst thing we faced. That's not even in the top 10 of challenges Black America has overcome. We're not going to lose a pound from starvation. We're not going to wither away. We're not going to collapse. We're going to do what we've always done. We're going to make a way out of no way. And let me be clear about something. This isn't about glorifying struggle or saying that people should have to struggle. Everyone deserves food security. Everyone deserves housing security. Everyone deserves dignity and stability. The government should absolutely do better. Programs like SNAP exist because they're necessary in a country where wages don't cover basic needs. I'm not saying people shouldn't use these programs or that the programs shouldn't exist. What I'm saying is that Black America doesn't need to panic because we've already passed this test. We've already proven that we can survive and thrive under conditions far worse than anything we're facing right now. We have the blueprint, we have the history, we have the faith, we have the community structures, even if they're not as strong as they once were. We have the knowledge passed down from grandmothers and great-grandmothers who could stretch $1 until it screamed and feed a family of 8 on what should have only fed three. The difference between us and them right now is that they're afraid because this is new. They're panicking because they don't know if they can handle it. But we're not afraid because we know we can. We've done it before, we'll do it again, and we'll come out the other side still standing, still strong, still here. This is not about being happy that people are struggling. This is not about lacking compassion. This is about recognizing our own strength and refusing to be counted out or counted down. This is about remembering that our survival has never depended on government benevolence. Our survival has depended on faith in Allah, on each other, and on the unbreakable will that our ancestors passed down to us. White America can panic if they want to. They can flood the food banks and call their representatives and lose sleep over what's going to happen. That's their journey. They need to learn what we already know, that the government is not your provider, that systems will fail you, and that your real security comes from within, from your faith, from your community, and from your ability to adapt and overcome. We will thrive no matter what, because thriving is what we do. It's coded into us. It's our superpower. It's the result of surviving everything that was meant to destroy us and coming out stronger, more creative, more resilient, and more unified. The government shutdown is just another chapter in a long story, and we already know how this story goes. Black America survives, adapts, and continues forward. So to everyone watching us, waiting to see if we're going to fall apart, let me tell you what's going to happen. We're going to take care of our own, lean on our faith, activate our communities, and come through this like we've come through everything else. We're built for this. We've been training for this our entire existence in this country. This shutdown, this is just another Tuesday for Black America. We've seen worse, we've survived worse, and we'll thrive through this too, inshallah.